Hi everyone. Today I'm playing the Legend of Zelda game and it's Tears of the Kingdom. It's the new one. I'm a little into it. I like the Zelda games. It's the only video games that I play. And as I'm playing it, I'm thinking, you know what? This would be great information for a podcast. So I'm going to take a break and make a video. Now, this is the Turtle Wins the Race home-based business podcast, and welcome back if you're a previous listener. But you can get, and I do this all the time, you can get lessons about running a business pretty much anywhere. And I see it everywhere. I see marketing stuff. I can't walk down the street without seeing something that I can apply to my business. And I'm a little obsessed with that. But this video game is very interesting because as I'm going through it, and I just started a couple days ago, I'm still very early in the game, but there are a lot of things in the Zelda games that are very applicable to having a home-based business and probably any business in general, but especially for someone who's working by themselves, which is what you do in this game. And you have to do certain things, but let's go through this because I found 10 points that I think are applicable to anyone who runs a home-based business that you can learn from a video game. Now, the first thing is that everyone starts at the beginning. Okay, everybody starts, even if you've played every video game before in the series and you know all the mechanics and you don't really need to learn every single thing. Everyone starts at the beginning. And when I start a new game, which isn't too often because they don't release these too often, but I started this one very cautiously. I'm creeping around. I'm looking for stuff. I'm watching for enemies who are going to try to kill me. And, everybody starts at the same point. So when you're starting a new business or you have a business and you're starting a new task in the business or you're starting a new product for your business, don't compare yourself to people who've been doing this for years and years because everybody starts somewhere and, everybody says the same thing. Don't compare your beginning to someone else's middle. It's true, though, because you can't compare where you are in the game, which is your business, to where someone else is if they've put in 90 hours and you have put in 10 minutes. It's not fair to yourself. Just compare yourself to someone who's a little bit ahead, and that might give you some inspiration to move forward. But don't compare yourself to somebody way down the road because that's not going to help you out. The second thing is that even though we do start at the beginning, it's a good idea to use guides to help you learn. All right. Now, as you're going through this game and as you're running a business, you're going to run into people who want to give you advice. And we talked about advice last week, but you're going to run into people who can give you tips and they can give you advice. And I started playing the game and then I went over to YouTube that evening because I knew that they would have videos up about it already. And sure enough, they did. So one of the channels that I watch had a video about 10 things to look for when you're first starting the game. And I'm like, okay, I'm a little bit beyond that. It's not going to give me any spoilers. So let's read it. And there were a few things in there that I had missed, but it was very helpful and it didn't really spoil anything for me. And I don't mind spoilers anyway, but it didn't really make me feel like I was cheating by not playing the game because I'd played it. I'd been working on it for a while, but here's somebody with a little tip that says, hey, this is going to make it easier. That was very helpful. So don't be afraid to listen to other people, but you also have to be careful, this comes in another point down the line a little bit, but you have to be careful about who you're listening to because sometimes the advice isn't that great, but I'll just meld these 2 points together. So be careful with the advice that you take. And this is what we talked about last week on the podcast, but it doesn't hurt to get guides to help. Okay. So when people say, oh, I'm just going to get a class and cut through all the stuff, that's why I buy classes for my business, is that I know I could go online and find all the stuff. I could go and figure it out. I could take the time to go and investigate all the stuff and do the research. But if somebody else already has a system in place that it looks like it would be good for me, and it fits with what I was going to do anyway, then I'm not afraid to buy that class. And I did buy a blogging class. I'm in a blogging program because the way that they were explaining that they approached it was exactly what I was thinking. This is what I need to do. And then I came across this program and they're like, this is what we do. And I was like, okay, well, if you guys have figured it out, I will go with that. So don't be afraid to learn. Don't be afraid to have a guide. And you can figure things out on your own if you just go in there and poke around. But sometimes you can look stuff up. And just be careful where you're looking it up. Don't believe everything you read. Don't believe everything you hear. but it's okay to get some help, and it's okay to kind of shortcut your process by not having to do all the research yourself. Okay. The next thing is to stay focused on what you're supposed to be doing, stay focused on your goal, but don't be afraid to try new things along the way. So if in this game I'm going down the road to I'm supposed to be going to some place, but then I see a cave, I'm going to go look inside the cave. Sure. So don't be afraid to try new things. But at the same time, you need to remember what you're supposed to be doing, because a lot of us have shiny object syndrome. And as business owners, we all, there's always ideas that you have. If you're a creative person, you've got way too many ideas and not enough time. And you really need to choose something and focus on it so that you can get that thing done, learn that thing really well, get it set up, get it working, and then move on to the next thing. But at the same time, you don't want to lock yourself in so that you miss out on opportunities that come along, because sometimes an opportunity will come along. And when I used to do wedding cakes, I would get occasional PR requests from people or from magazines or whatever. When those kinds of things come in, you drop everything that you're doing and you go do that. But then you come back and you finish what you're working on. So make sure that you are actually working toward a goal. But don't be afraid to try new things. Don't be afraid to adjust. You can always adjust your path. And there are different ways to do everything. Sometimes the things that you do and the little adjustments are going to help you come back to your main task and be more efficient with it. So don't be afraid to try new things, but you need to stay focused on what you want to accomplish. And if those new things don't really fit into what you want to accomplish at the end, then you might want to just pass them by. Okay. The next thing is that you get out of your business what you put into your business. Now, I have 3 Etsy shops. One of them is very active, and I probably put the most time into that as far as filling orders and talking to customers and coming up with new things and that kind of stuff. The other one is kind of middle of the road. I'll put some things in there every now and then. And the other one is just dead. Unfortunately, that's my vintage shop. I really just don't work on it, and I don't get many sales in there. If I do go in and put new listings in, then yes, I do get sales. But you get out of a shop or a business what you put into it. And sometimes those rewards don't come right away. So this is the thing. Sometimes you put things in and you get more out right away. And that's what people are looking for. And that's the kind of thing that will happen in the video games, but not necessarily in life. And you have to just be patient. And sometimes patience is part of this, but you have to understand that you're going to get out of your business what you put into your business. And if you want to be a business, you need to treat it like a business, which is, I think, the first podcast that I did that was the subject of that. So you're going to get out of it what you put into it, and make sure that you're putting in the correct amount of effort to get out what you want. Because you can't just throw a website or a shop up and say, hey, people are going to come find it, because they won't. All right. The next point is sometimes you won't do things the right way. But in video games, you're going to die and then come right back to life because you just click continue. All right. In real life, you don't die. If you do something the wrong way, it's a mistake and you learned from it. And you can look at everything. Yeah, people are going to make mistakes. Okay. I don't look at things like, oh, nothing is a mistake. There are plenty of mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. And that's okay, because you can learn from it. If you keep doing the same thing over and over, then that's a little wacky. But if you learn from your mistakes and you continue in your business and you continue to work on it until you get to the point where you can see what happened in the mistakes and you know why they happened, why were they mistakes, then you can refine what you're doing and keep working toward the goal and get it done without making the mistakes. But you're going to make mistakes, but you're not going to die. Okay, in real life, you're not going to die. It's just going to be a mistake. You might feel stupid, but you know what? When I accidentally jump off a cliff and I think I'm landing in water and I land on the hard ground and immediately die in the video game, I feel stupid too. But it doesn't matter. It's the same thing in real life. If you have a business and you make a mistake, you're not going to die. So just move on, learn from it, and move on. And don't be afraid to try new things because you're afraid of making mistakes, because everybody's going to make a mistake. The number 6 point, and I'm going to flip this little paper over. I have it sitting here. The number 6 point is to recharge your batteries. when you're playing video games, clearly you want to make sure that your battery is recharged, and you want to make sure that you have the cord to plug it in and not die in the middle of a big thing. But in real life, a lot of times we don't take breaks. And in real life, a lot of times we just work on our business all the time because we feel like if we don't, it's not going to work out. And like I said, you do get out what you put in, but if you're putting every single thing that you have into your business, if you put all your energy into it, then you're not going to have any other energy for anything else in your life. And then those things are going to suffer. And this goes back to the idea of balance. You have to decide what's important for you and put energy into those things for now. You can always come back and readjust what you think is important, but you do need to recharge your batteries. You need to take time off. And literally, I have been playing this game for a day and a half at this point, and my vision is blurry. I'm at the end of the first day, I'm sitting, because I'm playing on the little handheld set. At the end of the first day, I could not see. I'm like walking around blinking, going, oh my God. And that's not good. That's not good. So take breaks. This is one of the reasons that I'm taking breaks now. I'm going to take breaks throughout the day to work on orders and to do a little video here and there and that kind of thing. But you need to recharge your batteries and you need to take breaks. And that's just a very important thing if you have a home-based business, especially because it tends to spill over into other parts of your life because there's no clear delineation of where the business starts and your home base starts. And, you know, if you have your home here and your business here and there tends to be the creep, your business will creep over into your personal space and that kind of stuff. Just take a break and recharge your batteries. The seventh thing is every now and then you need to turn the music down. Okay. The music in these games is very designed to make you emotional. And you know that certain enemies have certain theme songs, and you know that there's certain noises that happen that's going to make you look around because you know that something's going to come up behind you and whack you with a stick. But sometimes you just need to turn the music down. When you have a home-based business, sometimes you need to turn the noise down, turn the social media off. It's usually social media. It's the Etsy forums. Take a break. If you're in there all the time, that's probably not good for your health. And sometimes you just need to step back and not think about business for a while. It's very important. And when my kids were little and they would play these games and they would get into like the big boss fight, you know, where it's, you have to kill this one boss and it's all this stuff. They would get so worked up and I would say, turn the music down and do it in silence. And it's a lot easier because that music is there it's designed to make you emotional and to get your emotions involved. And when you're in a home-based business and you go into a Facebook group that's constantly complaining and whining, and that gets your emotions involved and it'll get you riled up. Leave those groups. Just take a break. If you don't want to leave them, take a break. But think about it and say, is this noise? Is this sound? Is what is surrounding me now? Is that bringing me value, or is it making my life more emotional and more complicated so that I can't approach things in a rational way? And if it's the second, then just leave the groups, okay? But yeah, sometimes you need to turn the music down to get things done and to get it done without freaking out. All right, the next point is that there's more than one way to solve any problem. This is very clear. And I'm sure I just finished one little task in this game. I completely did it the wrong way, but it worked. All right. And then I went and found out that one of the tools that they gave me in this task was meant to be done a different way. It was meant to be used a different way. And it would probably have been a lot easier, but I got it done and I finished the task and it was the same outcome at the end as someone who did it the easier way. And this kind of goes back to experimenting and taking tips if you can get a tip for that. But at the same time, it was fine. It worked out. But, you know, don't be afraid to try different things. That just because someone says this worked for me, it doesn't mean it's going to work for you. There's more than one way to solve any problem. There is no one solution that fits everyone. When you're taking business advice from people, you need to look at their situation and say, is this even relevant for my business? Because it might not be. You might have different customer base. You might have a different product. You might have different price points. You might have just anything. It doesn't even matter. There's more than one way to solve every problem, regardless of what people say. If someone ever says you have to do it this way, then don't listen to them, because there's always more than one way to do it. The next thing is to try a new perspective. All right. If you're having trouble finishing something or getting something accomplished for your business, take a step back and look at it from a little bit broader term. Or, like I said, go get some tips from someone, ask people for some advice, and they might have a different way of looking at things that makes more sense or that is more helpful for you. And sometimes if you take a step back, you can see the big picture, as opposed to focusing on one thing so hard that you just forget that that detail is not everything. And I see this a lot with people writing titles and looking for keywords for their products, that a lot of times you want to target a more broad keyword. I don't especially need to be found on the first page of the term cake decorations, because that's so general. It could be anything. But I want to be found for that in the long run, because people do start searching for cake decorations and they do see my products and they're like, oh, that product exists. I sell a very niche product and not a lot of people know that it exists, but if they see it, then they know it. So you want to be found for both very broad terms and very narrow terms, but focusing on those super, super narrow terms doesn't really help you be found for the broad ones a lot of the time. So sometimes you just need to take a step back, look at the whole picture. If there's a problem that you're having with your business, maybe just go recharge your batteries, take some time, get some advice, and then come back and look at it from a different perspective, because it might be a lot simpler than you think. And like I said, don't be afraid to try new things, because that new thing might make your whole task a lot easier and you just never would have done it because you're afraid to try new things. All right. The 10th point, and I had already mentioned this before, is to listen, but be aware that there are a lot of rumors out there. There's people talking about, with this Google AI, it's going to ruin websites. Search is going to die. I don't think so. People have been using artificial intelligence writers for blogs for years. And it was just this past year that the media got a hold of it and it kind of got into the general public. Things change, things evolve. It's not going to kill websites. It's not going to kill Google search. I'm not too worried about it. But you do need to listen and pay attention. You can't just ignore things, and you can't ignore what Etsy is saying. This is what we're doing. But it doesn't mean that every single thing that they say is going to actually happen. You just need to be aware. Be aware of your surroundings, but you don't need to pay attention to everything. And if you're playing this video game and you're walking down a path and here comes a little monster out of the bushes and he wants to hit you with a stick, you don't have to fight him. You can just keep going. So be aware that he's there, but you don't have to engage. All right. So I guess that's the point. Be aware that these things are there, but you don't need to engage with it. You can still pay attention to what your objective is and go and get that done without involving yourself with this little jerk who's come out of the bushes and wants to hit you with a Boko club. Okay. So those are 10 points that I got about marketing and running a business. And if you play the game or you play any other game and you think that you have an idea for a lesson that you learned about your home-based business while playing this game, post it in the comments. I hope that you guys enjoyed this. It was kind of fun. And I'm going to go back and play some more now that I took a break to recharge my batteries a little bit. Give this video a thumbs up and I will talk to you later.